The end of the year?
It's the end of the year.
It's the end of the year. Welcome to the Toast of the Weird, the last one for 2025 that probably or 2024 that probably won't come out until 2025. Welcome to the best 30 seconds of your life.
Not watching corn industry.
What was that one thing we were talking about earlier that was so funny that should be on the pod, but we didn't say it was on the pod, so we didn't forget where we forgot about it?
Oh no, I made a special point to remember. It was all of the folks, not naming names or anything, but any one who's really upset about the current political climate and where it's going. But also, I noticed is standing in line and waiting for the check. That's what they think there's coming.
Hey man, the last time this guy was in power,
It's
like
like what?
a million Americans died and I got a $6,000 check. Like, let's go.
So again, if you're really, really upset about who's in office, going to be in office, but then also sitting around waiting, being like, you know what? Now's a good time to cash in.
Well, like I said
Let's hear
before,
from you.
either the blue team's in power and you're a great wage slave, like that's what it was historically, or the red team's in power and you're a great business owner. Like adjust your strategies accordingly. Learn to control your weird. I'll just get it out of the way early,
I
you know.
mean, ever since I learned that one tax hack, uh, it looks really awesome. And not advice, not financial advice. Look it up yourself. But how you could claim your own family staying over at your house on a holiday as a tax write-off.
There are provisions in the tax code for a lot of different things that should consult with your local tax attorney on.
Yes, and then the whole model I think this person was talking about is having an LLC where you rent your house out as a holiday stay over basically and charge your relatives like an exorbitant amount of money, and they're like, well,
No,
who's
it
gonna
has to be reasonable to the market value. It has to be reasonable market
again,
value.
whatever the specifics are, but this
Yeah.
person was talking about like $1,100 and or something per person or whatever. And I was just like, what? And they were like, yeah, who's going to pay that? Well, the business takes that up. Well, the business doesn't pay for
hmm
it. They can't afford that, so they run at a loss.
hmm
And I was like, what?
Well, that's that whole like Peaky Blinders setup. Have you watched the Peaky Blinders?
No.
Okay, so in that show, in this fictional show, the family is set up as an LLC, so every member of the family is on the board itself, and they vote and they conduct lawful business, but they do that. They like, okay, and in this order of business, we have this thing and that thing, and you're gonna go, you know, of course it's a show about mobsters, but of British mobsters, but it's pretty cool. But that's this kind of setup that you're talking about. It's like,
Yeah, it's
oh, the
pretty
Peaky Blinders
popular.
LLC or
Yeah.
the Shelby Limited Company or whatever it's called.
Good
You
show,
know,
but I cannot trip over anything motivational without seeing the show. God dang it.
yeah, really,
Yeah,
that's
it's
actually
awesome.
why I watched the show. I'm like all these cool clips and their
Yeah.
motivation, and you get the what's his name, the leader Tommy Shelby, Tommy Shelby. You get Tommy Shelby up there like, great things and stuff.
Oh no, he's used for a lot of character breakdowns as far as conducting yourself as well too. Charisma on command.
Well, the guy is just a bloody psycho in the show. It's really terrible to watch. I mean, it's like that dumpster fire. You can't stop watching it kind of stuff.
Hmm.
I'm surprised you haven't seen the Peaky Blinders.
Oh no, I've seen parts of it and I've seen a little bit of it. I watched most of it when it came out. I got to the part where, and I haven't seen it in a long time, so forgive me that you super fans. The part where one of the gangs wants him to shoot one of his own men in front of them or something like that, and he like drops into a boat, and then actually it turns out that the guy wasn't dead or something like that.
hmm
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he has
There you go.
plans within plans and wheels within wheels
That's
and
pretty
stuff
much
like
right
that.
where I stopped watching, right
It's
when it came out.
it's totally like a Hollywood gotcha kind of flick. Like,
Hmm.
oh, how the good old boy's gonna get out of this one?
Yeah, yeah. So in season one or whatever, right? That's season
Yeah,
one.
I
Yeah.
think
So
so.
I watched it right when it came out, and then I just stopped.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I just watched season 4 myself, and he like the Italians come for a vendetta against him and his family, and he ends up killing all of them and outdoing business with this guy and all that stuff. They outsmart him really well, you know. Like you may have a vendetta, but we're doing business with Al Capone in the States. So this guy dies and all that stuff. I think it's really cool how they like put in some historical figures into that too, you know. But yeah, basically, let's loop this around back and make it relatable to the tax code, which is totally not a thing. You have to have some kind of setup like that where you have a company that employs your family, and then your company owns the real estate and charges the family to stay there, but the family doesn't pay. The company pays.
Oh no, it's hand over fist, and it's another thing. The guy, someone I think the same person was talking about how you can legally write your children up, like you pay them income, like their allowance, like an income. Like there's all kinds of stuff, folks, about taxes and running
No,
your
no,
own
no. You
business and
you
your own house,
legitimately
and
hire your children,
it's all kind. Yeah, because
and you
again, too,
can
you
only
can run a
pay
family
them a
business, right?
certain amount of dollars,
Hmm.
and then that is used as a way to teach your children about finance because they get an allowance and you get to teach them about finance. I'm not saying that anybody's a tax cheat or anything, but that could lessen your tax liability in certain aspects by hiring your children to do a business. So, yeah,
Teach your kid about finances now. Debt
yeah.
is not always a bad thing, especially when you refinance for less interest.
Unless you listen to Dave Ramsey, then it's the worst thing ever. Because if you just had a cash positive life,
I
you wouldn't
think
have to worry about debt. I'm
I
just saying.
I don't know if it's true or not. I don't think I've ever actually seen any real clips of this, but there's rumors to where he talks about like, and I'm gonna put words in the poor gentleman's mouth here, like the internet swirl of rumors that like the upper echelon of his teaching, he admits that like yeah, like most people just aren't smart enough to handle debt that correctly.
I was thinking about this actually. I was like, okay, so
Not his
from
words at all. Disclaimer.
from no, 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 no. You have some valid
Right?
like
Yeah.
idea here. I'm
Hmm.
not saying that it is his words, but you have a valid idea. Like
Hmm.
if you're in debt and you're just doing the wage slave consumer like robot zombie thing and you want to get out of that cycle,
Hmm.
yes, by all means listen to Dave Ramsey, create a budget that makes
Right.
sense.
Hmm.
Spend less than you make, that makes sense. Don't go astronomically into debt because that will like eat you alive if you can't get a hold of it. There are certain aspects to that. Like if you're racking up a monthly payment worth of interest because you've got $30,000 in credit cards. Yeah, dude, that's terrible, right? But once you get out of that cycle, then you go like, and then what? You know, do you go to the Grant Cardone School of Business or do you go to the Robert Kiyosaki School of Business?
Is not they basically teaching the same thing?
Kind of.
Like
Yeah.
it's like pizza, but it's like what kind of pizza?
Yeah, well, Grant Cardone, he's like, I buy real estate and I love real estate, and Robert Kiyosaki is like, I real estate is terrible. You should buy gold.
Really? No, is he talk? Does he say real estate's terrible? Because he talks about refinance. He literally says like the same stuff Grant Cardone talks about.
Really?
How I could swear again. Look them up, folks.
Controversy.
I could swear that he talks about the same thing about how he refinanced a loan. Maybe it wasn't on property. Maybe I'm misremembering. But Robert Kiyosaki talked about how he just made money about refinancing a loan at one percentage to another. So he started making more money technically.
Yeah,
And
because
then
his
took that.
tenants were actually paying down the
Exactly.
debt
Or
or
some
something like
shit. So
that.
yeah, I could have
And
sworn it's
then
all about real estate.
right, and then you go
Yeah.
back to the Dave Ramsey School of Finance, and he's like, "Yeah, I've owned real estate, and anybody who tells you that the tenants are going to pay the bill is a moron." And I'm like, that may be true,
I think again,
because
it's like
stuff
specifics.
happens.
I think it all depends on the numbers. I think you can, let's throw another person out there. I think Graham Stephan.
Graham Stephan,
He talks
genius,
about right
dude.
when he first came in again too, like
Hmm.
how he got his come up, and he was a real estate agent. It's all about the pricing. It's all about the numbers. It's all about looking in advance. And again, from our own experience, if we gone a little heavier, not only that, but if we had taken what we had refinanced and put into other, I mean, I think real
Yeah.
estate's one of the best, not
Oh,
financial advice,
oh man,
personal
unless you listen to that guy,
experience.
who's that dude? Pena? I think his name's
Pena?
Pena. The last name's Pena. He's the guy that owns the castle somewhere. He's not going to tell you. And he's like bloody rich. He's like super wealthy. But he's the guy that's like in your face, like cussing, like
Dan
Dan
Pena.
Pena.
Yeah, the
Is that?
older gentleman, very well
Yes.
dressed, very like
Yes.
not afraid to swear.
Yes, that guy. He
Yes.
does
Okay.
not
Yes.
have any bones or cares to
Yes.
give.
Yes. Another good one.
He's like, he's
Mhm.
out there. He's like, I'm watching the market and real estate's terrible, especially commercial real estate. Commercial real estate used to be this way and it's not anymore. Look at the numbers. And I'm like, huh. But that was back coming out of the pandemic. Or I don't know if that's a shadow ban or not. Please let us go, sisters. But anyway, I don't know if that's due to certain events of the past 5 years or not, because everybody was like, well, we're gonna work from home and we're not gonna use this office space kind of stuff. So I don't know if that's from that kind of
I
era
could
or
totally see
what.
that. Think about how imagine just regular housing, and if everyone was in homes, and all of a sudden everyone just decided to go live off the land and like housing price, and no one's renting, and I could
Hmm.
absolutely see that. Plus, if you think about the buyer economy, what I mean by that is more people trying to own, more
Yeah.
people trying to own land, more people trying to own duplexes, more people trying to own commercial real estate.
Well, this is a complex algebra problem. Thank you, commenter. I forgot your name.
Really?
Dun,
Not,
dun,
was it a
dun.
not Brian, like a second not Brian?
No, it was one of the trolls of the internet. I don't even think they're real. I think the bots just like see our stuff and they're like, wow, what?
If we got trolled by a random internet bot, I would still be happy. I'm
I
fine
know,
with
right?
that.
Thank
Like,
you for taking the time to comment, but like, the- personal finance is algebra, is what their comment was. But I do think that this is a crazy
awesome. How
algebraic,
many people passed algebra? Go ahead. Sorry.
right?
Sorry.
But I do think that this is
Interrupted.
like a huge like algebraic equation that nobody can really understand at all, because you've got the buyer economy who wants to come in, and then you've got the conglomerates that are just like, oh yeah, the 30,000 or $360,000 house, pay cash, close in 15 days, and we'll buy 3 million of those, you know.
That's a
Again,
good
Dan
point.
Pena was like, these guys are getting rid of it. And the other guy, I don't know who the other guy is, but he talks like an Italian mobster and he's like super heavy set. You've probably seen him. He sends his boys out to buy commercial real estate. He could pay cash for a lot of these commercial buildings. I forgot the guy's name, but he's another one of those like internet famous junkies who's out there just like, oh yeah, I can buy cash real estate and the the Black Rocks of the world can't compete with me because blah 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 blah.
Find a little niche, find a little way to get in. That is awesome. It reminds. Ooh, look at the hummingbird.
I know, right?
I think
You can't look at the hummingbird
no,
though.
you can't. Oh, it's sitting on a, just sitting there on a. Wow, it's not humming at all. It's just chilling, being a bird. Oh, there it goes. Come on, come in the camera view. That would be awesome. We
Yeah,
would probably get a lot of views
we
for
went
that.
we went from
Come on, come on over here. All right, well, we'll see you
no,
later.
I'm not gonna video that side. There's a reason. There's a reason why the frame is set up the way it is. All right, yeah, we just went from personal real estate to ooh, look at the pretty birds.
Oh, okay, so that's what it was. It was that side note. So I think it was uh
Talking about commercial real estate,
oh no
this
no dang it
private
no
buyer
no dang
coming
it
in.
his Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, I think, is the one who said that your first million is the hardest, and
Yeah,
then after that, like your second million,
is inevitable.
yeah.
Yeah.
So again, it's all about coming up to a certain level of income and being able to do something with that. Because 6% interest on a million is $60,000 a year.
Hmm.
So getting to that sort of level, I mean,
Hmm. Yeah, but I think it all comes from the discipline of it, to tell you the honest truth. Like, just to take it all around circles, because I've listened to us talk, and I'm like, we go like all over the damn place.
no, we're very on point.
Birdie!
Anyway, squirrel.
Welcome to the ADHD mess that is YouTube. Anyway, can't.
Just keep going, Wayne. Think of the coffee and tacos. The coffee and
For
tacos.
just $5 a month, you too can support our nonsense with coffee and tacos.
Support our nonsense.
Please. I don't edit and cut. No, the editor's not going to cut this. He's too lazy.
We're probably gonna get the most views for that short.
I like being authentic, to tell you the honest truth. I really enjoy that about this channel. I mean, we can prattle off about the stuff that we haven't ever done or talked about at all, except for this guy. This guy is so cute. God, that's super distracting.
I'm
Squirrel.
telling you, like, right? I
It,
mean, how can you not
it's
look at a
birds.
fluttering hummingbird in front of you?
Birds aren't real, man. They're just here to spy on us, man. That's like the MSI 33's like spy bird. They're gonna watch us and watch what we're saying,
If
man.
you could just come, whoever was controlling that, come a little closer, get a little selfie, spy hummingbird. I'm cool with that.
Dear Matrix, make the bird land on my shoulder.
That would have got some views. That would have been some shit. The hummingbird would have been like,
That would have been cool. That would have been cool, but we're not there. We're trying to create a podcast and a show through shorts, one like at a time.
really, I figure we were just banking up a lot of digital real estate, so to say, and then the time, our fan
Well,
base grows, it's like coming across
it's
a series you didn't know about and being happy there's 5 seasons in it.
so okay. Like it's the end of the year. We've come a long way
Hmm.
this year. Well, our believe it or not, folks, our podcast started out with just my cell phone, these mics, and Spotify. We're there. We're still on Spotify. It's still available there. You can see our terrible first through like 7 episodes. But like give it some reflection. How do you feel about the whole experience? Like, let's be candid right now. It's just behind the scenes that's not behind the scenes.
I was torn apart about the negative comments received. Negative comment
This is the
received.
guy who's like, I don't care if it's negative or not. Come on, man.
No, I don't give 2 fucks. I really, really like looked at that and I was just like, awesome. I think I was like out being like, should we have noses? Like, do I need? I don't give a shit.
No, but
Like,
like about
thanks.
no, like reflect a bit upon like the process of doing the first year, because
Hmm.
this is going to be the kind of stuff that we look back on and be
Yes,
like, all right, cool. So we gave up, but we have all of this digital records of our journey.
did we
Like,
give
do you
up?
feel like you've grown? Do you feel like you've like paid more attention to certain topics versus other topics, so that way you could talk about it on the internet? Like, do you feel like you master tape more or less?
I feel like I have gotten more aware of how many f bombs I throw, and pretty much that. I want to say
Really?
reflection. Yeah, a lot of making sure. I know that you talked a lot about the ums. I know that I don't hear any ums ever at all.
Yeah, well, as a public speaker, you gotta kind of like create that self-development, you know? You listen to all these talk shows talking, these professionals that are like, they put out one video and they get 600,000 views, and you're like, all right, cool, I could do that. It's more difficult than it sounds, you know? It's like, well, you sound like a stoner who just like burnout and doesn't know algebra or whatever.
You're half right.
I mean, yeah, I quit smoking a long time ago, but ain't nothing wrong with it,
Define knowing algebra.
right? Well, no, I was just seeing if you like felt like you've grown more as a podcaster
Well, actually,
talent
remember
type
we
of
talked
person.
about that. We're not podcasters. We're infotainers.
Infotainer. We're making the
Yeah.
infotaining market. Actually,
No,
we're just kind of
absolutely.
like trying to come onto the fast lane of the freeway, and we're just like, let us on, let us on. We're going 35.
No, I think a lot of it, like you said, and you talked about, is the self reflection
Hmm.
and looking at things and then seeing yourself and then trying to better yourself in every sort of way. Not that someone's gonna love or hate that person, but I heard a very controversial person talk about how they're their worst critic on a podcast, and they go back and review every word that they say and try to do better every single time. So
Yeah.
that's
Well,
what we do.
do you feel like you've become better throughout this whole process?
Yes.
Yeah, me too. I feel that way too. All right, so fluoride stare time. I feel like we're producing Wayne's World. Do you remember that movie?
I is
Wayne's
is it just
World,
because of the
Wayne's
name
World.
for you, or is it? I mean, again, too, like that's just a good correlation for a lot of, I mean, I see the same thing everywhere else. It's just entertainment, where you get your information from, and what your flavor is.
90% of the youth get their information and news from social media. They don't even verify it through some kind of news organization and channel anyway. And I'm over here like, well, maybe if I got the AP's daily briefing that goes out to all of the people, I could be like, all right, let's read this, and then we'll take the top 10 stories of the week and we'll talk about that on the podcast.
It's whatever's entertaining, and again to whatever's popping necessarily. Again, whatever's controversial, but again to whatever comes to heart. I mean, nothing to stop that. We'll probably have some bullet points here and there when we get off. Have some sort of professionalism going on. Semi-professional now when we get more professional, but other
I
than that, I mean,
I enjoy the little brief talks that we have where we're like, okay, we can't talk about it right now, but like this happened this week, that happened this week, and this happened this week, and that's what I want to talk about. Like last week, I wanted to talk about the Tate brothers and their tax dodging ways, and they got in trouble because of it. I
uh,
don't know if we talked about that on camera or off camera, but it's definitely something that I wanted to address.
love them or hate them, support them or not. At a certain point, business-wise, you make a decision.
To not
And
pay taxes.
okay, that goes off your own personal belief on taxes and who owns and if taxes are legitimate. And I'm not condoning or denying.
I okay. Me personally, like, shame on you. Shame on you for not paying your fair share into society's taxes. Bad. The other part of me is like, get a smarter tax attorney.
I don't. I mean, again, I'm not making any claims. For what it. Who knows? Who knows if that's even real? If it's just internet.
No, this is what we know. The government
Do we?
of
Okay, I don't
England
know.
is charging the Tate brothers with tax evasion.
Did you
That's the
see some sort?
facts.
Did you see some real paperwork, or was it just a talking head talking about it? Yeah, Google fact check the Google on that.
Are the Tate brothers being investigated in England for tax evasion?
Is it? I mean, again, like I'm just, is it just like another smear campaign? Is it legitimate? I mean,
Yes, Andrew and Tristan Tate are being investigated in England for tax evasion and money laundering. Tax evasion. Police allege that the Tate brothers evaded taxes by hiding the origins of their income through bank accounts in Devon. A UK court ruled that police can seize more than £2 million from the brothers. Money laundering. Police allege that the Tate brothers laundered money through bank accounts in Devon. Bed extradition. Bedfordshire police is seeking the extradition of the Tate brothers to the UK relation to the allegations of rape and human trafficking. This is
that
old
was old.
news.
That was old.
That's
Yeah,
old
that's
news.
old
They've been in
news.
prison for that one.
Well, but
So
yeah.
December 18th, British police can seize nearly 2.7 million pounds or 3.4 million US dollars from the internet personality Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan over unpaid tax, a London judge ruled on Wednesday.
Okay,
December 18th, 2024 is the date of that.
awesome. You know what that sounds like to me? Honestly, realistically, you know what it sounds like to me?
Oh, go on.
To a billionaire, it kind of sounds like someone was like, "I'm sorry, sir, did you forget to tip?" They're coming after him
That
for 3.5, what, $3.7 million.
then why is it news
I,
if they can't
it's
just
his
like, oh,
names.
sorry, here.
How do you know that hasn't happened? How do you know they didn't
It's
fight
a
to? How do you know they didn't fight to be
wait.
like someone made a mistake on your side?
It's an
All
attack
I
of the
know.
Matrix on the Tate brothers.
All I know is it's for a billionaire. I know him and his brother share money, so I'm just going to call them their money. For their money, they do. They talk about it. So again, to whatever how much, because a lot of the Tate brothers
Empire?
empire is, I don't want to say speculative, but again, too, they talk about the internet personality, what that is worth, that influence is worth. I
Yeah.
don't have any sort of claim on knowing how much actual money or liquidity or whatever you want to say that they have. So anyway, putting that aside, their level of wealth alone that they admit to certain hundreds of millions, that just seems very frivolous to me. It seems like a parking ticket. It seems like, again, too, you can throw out a lot of trumped up terms, a lot of trumped
Uh,
up allegations, a lot of trumped up charges.
uh,
So tax evasion and money laundering. I got a
uh,
question, internet. Does that just not make them sound more gangster? I'm sorry, like it just makes them sound more gangster. Again, not supporting or denying,
how
but
much of it is true though? I
that's what I'm
mean,
saying. Like again, it
no, no,
just
no. From
sounds
like
like
their side, like they're out there like, yeah, we're billionaires, blah 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 blah. But I mean, you don't see the Saudi Arab Emirates family coming out going like, yeah, we're billionaires,
you want to know why?
because they're actually billionaires. They're probably trillionaires.
Well, oh okay, because how did Andrew and Tate grow their wealth?
by
By becoming
by starting
okay,
webcams.
whatever. Anyway,
That's how they got their wealth.
well, that's how they started. How they grew their wealth is again internet personality. So I think the way you generate money or the way money also is talked about is totally different now. Coming in from the mentality of the royal family of where we don't talk about money, we don't talk about our finances versus the new wealth. We're open. This is how I got it, self-made.
So that's a lot of
So
the
again, how you look at the money scenario.
this is true, but I'm saying like these dudes are in a peen measuring contest and they're like, my peen's 8 inches long, but you can't see it. You know what I mean? Like that's the way I see about it. Like they're boasting about stuff they may or may not actually have, you know? Like
How
I
much is bravado? How much is not? How much is
exactly.
reviews? Again,
That's what
I'm
I'm
not
saying. Like,
gonna.
there's no denying that those dudes have had some McLarens and some supercars and all that stuff. I get that. I get that. But if they're like, we can't afford to pay a $3.2 million tax, whatever their mentality is on tax, like you've said before, like, I would write the check to get them to shut up and leave me alone. And I'd do it behind closed doors. If I had that much money, I'd just be like, oh, I apologize. The mistake was probably my tax accountant error. Let's sort this out so that way I can continue to do what I normally do, unless they're just trying to get attention, to garner attention, and just be like, this is an attack of the Matrix, rah, rah,
Either
rah,
way,
rah,
like,
to roil their fan base up.
I mean, gotta stay relevant. One, two. It's kind of like someone, we'll name nameless, was just talking to me about how they got audited. This person, I no relation whatsoever,
Uh
got
huh.
audited, uh, and the powers that be said that they owed $2,000.
Mm hmm.
And instead of just paying that $2,000, because I know the personal finances pretty well of that person at the time, $2,000 wasn't that much. They could have just wrote the check. But what did they do? They fought or
And got help.
pointed out the mistake at least,
Yeah, but,
right?
but,
So how do let's ask this. Who knows what will happen in the future, what information comes out, but let's pose this scenario. Let's pose a scenario. Perhaps someone made a mistake in that organization. By the time it got to that
are we talking about the Tate
yeah,
organization again?
no, not the Tate organization, the governmental organization.
Oh,
Let's say
okay.
someone made a mistake in that and, publicized it before even, the Tate brothers were even allowed to make, amends for that because it's big news, right? It's like saying something happened with Donald Trump right now. And before he even knows about it to fake an apology, someone's out there like
Oh,
blaspheming his name.
he's guilty of tax evasion too.
Anyway, all I'm saying is it seems pretty frivolous, the numbers. It's kind of like when a huge corporation gets in trouble for something and they're like, we're going to tax them, we're going to fine
Yeah,
them $10
but what
million.
about the everyday millionaires that you
So,
don't ever hear about? That these people are like, because
where are
there's
we
somebody
going?
at
What
the IR,
tangent did we just jump off here? What are we talking? Anyway, go
fucking
ahead. Keep
bird.
going. Burn. Go ahead. Everyday millionaires.
But yeah, but it's that whole like, how many everyday millionaires get audited and they're not blasted all over the papers and all that
Because
stuff?
who
They're not
cares?
made the
They're
example
nameless.
of.
That's the thing. They're
Exactly. How
nameless.
many of them go, oh, I guess let's get some help. Let's get the tax attorneys together. Let's pencil out the numbers. Let's write a check and call it good.
First of all, again, going back to the tipping scenario, what if it was an accidental non tip? And what if they were certain they did tip and they're like, you know what? I already did. I don't care if it was $10 or $10 million and I'm a billionaire. If it's not my mistake, there's gonna be at some point, if I'm aware of it, a principal matter.
There's going to be a paper trail
Well, okay.
too
Oh,
for
well,
that kind of a
what I'm saying is
mistake.
put it to the way that like as a personal attack. if you were certain you did make a mistake and this is all just slander or allegations or a charge that got really blown out of proportion,
Mm-hmm.
I might be like, you know what? I have enough clout. I don't care what people say. Let it roll over. We paid that. Team, get into it.
That's what I'm saying. Like you could
So
have the lawyers talk about it behind closed doors. So that's what I'm really like trying to get at is like how much of this is bravado and attention because he can't have any social media channels anymore, and how much of it
under
is
his
just a
name, right?
clerical
Under his
error.
name. Isn't that also how they got the big numbers too? Is by having his fans, his people make accounts with his stuff, so they were posting information or clips of him, but he
Yep.
actually wasn't. So he was getting more famous, and but they were getting money because it was their channels. And then
Yeah, yeah, it was that whole
is that
that's
smart
that's another
business?
thing
Isn't
too
that
is that
smart
they're
business? I
they're
mean,
saying
shit.
that that's a pyramid scam too, allegedly. But that's a totally different topic than the tax bill and stuff. Like every business owes taxes. Everybody
Everything.
knows this. That's why accountants have jobs.
Well, again, too.
And lawyers have jobs.
Okay, let's put it this way. How many businesses make clerical errors too, and you're just not hearing it in the news because, again, oh, cool, they
Exactly.
got their bill. Well, who cares? Who gives a shit? Either
Exactly.
way.
Exactly.
Well, you brought
That's
it
what
up.
I'm saying. This is all just theater. That's
Is it?
all just
Is this all
theater.
theater or is that all theater?
This is the
Buy your tickets
theater
now.
of the zombie
Buy your
screen.
tickets now.
Tacos and coffee, please. But yeah, dude, like, that's what I'm saying.
On your
Like
side of soft tacos, he takes his coffee
black.
just like his soul,
Yeah.
dark, murky,
Cyberpunky.
bottom of
But
the
that's
pot.
let's just wrap this up. All I'm saying is that the Tate dramedy, tragic comedy tragedy, all of this stuff is probably stuff that could be silenced and dealt with quietly behind the scenes,
You know
you
what
know?
though? You can't buy good publicity.
You really can't.
Or maybe you could for $3.7 million.
I guess.
I'm
Like, you know
serious.
what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna
Why?
fight the
Because
government
we're
for
talking about
3.7
it.
million
We're t-
dollars.
if I was a billionaire, yeah, why not? They're just another corporation, right?
I
They make
guess.
mistakes all the time,
They're
right?
entertainers,
Right?
I suppose.
Yeah, just because they got audited and someone made a mistake because their bill is bigger, three point some million, it doesn't sound like a lot of money to a billionaire. It really doesn't. Take the couple digits out,
Yeah.
rotate it down to like being a $300 charge, and he'd be making what, a couple million? Like it's
Yeah, well, it's the like people don't really grasp the concept of that amount of money. Like, what is it? A million seconds is 31 days or something like
oh
that.
no, I was thinking about that. You saw that? So
Yeah.
okay, if I got my numbers correct, a million seconds is 11 days. So this guy talked about the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire,
Yeah.
right?
And then a
In
billion
seconds
seconds
is
is